What if I told you there's a hidden fat inside your body more dangerous than the fat you can see, and it feeds on your habits every single day? And what if I told you that by changing just one simple timing habit, you could start starving it, shrinking it, and taking back control of your health? Visceral fat is not like the fat you can pinch under your skin. It lives deep inside your body, wrapping itself around vital organs such as the liver, pancreas, and intestines. This makes it far more dangerous because it is metabolically active, meaning it doesn't just sit there, it constantly releases inflammatory chemicals and hormones that disrupt your body's normal functions. Over time, this type of fat increases the risk of serious conditions like insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even certain cancers. What makes it even more concerning is that you can have a relatively normal body weight and still carry high levels of visceral fat without realizing it. One of the biggest reasons visceral fat accumulates is the modern habit of constant eating. From early morning snacks to late night meals, the body rarely gets a break from processing food. Every time you eat, your body releases insulin, a hormone that helps move glucose from your bloodstream into your cells. While insulin is essential for survival, it also plays a major role in fat storage. When insulin levels are frequently elevated throughout the day, your body stays in a storage mode, encouraging excess calories to be stored as fat, especially visceral fat. This constant cycle creates an environment where visceral fat can thrive. It feeds off the steady supply of energy coming into your system and grows stronger as your body loses its ability to efficiently burn fat. Over time, your metabolism becomes less flexible, meaning your body struggles to switch from burning glucose to burning fat. This is why many people feel stuck despite trying to eat healthier. They may be making better food choices, but if they are eating too frequently, they are still keeping their body in fat storing mode. Another critical factor is how visceral fat interacts with your hormones. It releases substances that increase inflammation and interfere with insulin signaling, making it even harder for your body to regulate blood sugar levels. This creates a vicious cycle. More visceral fat leads to higher insulin resistance, and higher insulin resistance leads to even more fat storage. Breaking this cycle requires more than just cutting calories. It requires changing the internal environment that allows this fat to survive. When you give your body a break from constant eating, you begin to shift this environment. Lower insulin levels allow your body to access stored fat for energy. Instead of relying on a continuous intake of food, your body starts tapping into its reserves, including visceral fat. This is why reducing meal frequency or incorporating fasting periods can be so effective. It directly targets the conditions that visceral fat depends on. It's also important to understand that this process is not about extreme restriction or starvation. It's about restoring balance. Your body is designed to handle periods of eating and fasting, but modern lifestyles often eliminate the fasting part entirely. By reintroducing that natural rhythm, you allow your metabolism to reset and function the way it was meant to. As this shift happens, many people notice improvements beyond fat loss. Energy levels become more stable, cravings decrease, and mental clarity improves. These are signs that your body is becoming more metabolically efficient. Visceral fat begins to lose its advantage because the constant fuel it depends on is no longer available. Ultimately, the idea that visceral fat thrives on constant eating highlights a powerful truth. It's not just what you eat, but how often you eat that shapes your health. By becoming more intentional about your eating patterns, you can begin to take control of the internal processes that determine whether your body stores fat or burns it. Insulin is one of the most powerful hormones in your body when it comes to controlling whether you store fat or burn it. Every time you eat, especially foods rich in carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises, and your pancreas releases insulin to help move that sugar into your cells for energy. This is a normal and essential process. However, the problem begins when insulin levels stay elevated for most of the day due to frequent eating or poor dietary patterns. When insulin is consistently high, your body receives a clear signal: store energy, don't burn it. In this state, fat burning is essentially turned off. Your body prioritizes using the glucose from your recent meals rather than tapping into stored fat for fuel. This is why many people struggle to lose weight even when they believe they are eating relatively healthy foods. If insulin levels never drop low enough, the body simply doesn't get the chance to access its fat reserves, including the more dangerous visceral fat stored deep in the abdomen. Insulin doesn't just influence fat storage, it actively directs where fat is stored. High insulin levels are strongly linked to the accumulation of visceral fat around internal organs. This type of fat is particularly harmful because it releases inflammatory substances and disrupts hormonal balance. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, where the body's cells become less responsive to insulin. As a result, the pancreas produces even more insulin to compensate, creating a cycle that promotes even greater fat storage and metabolic dysfunction. Breaking this cycle requires understanding how to manage insulin effectively. It's not just about reducing sugar or cutting calories, it's about creating periods where insulin can naturally fall. When insulin levels drop, your body switches from storage mode into burning mode. This is when fat, including visceral fat, becomes accessible as a source of energy. It's a fundamental metabolic shift that changes how your body fuels itself. One of the most effective ways to influence this switch is by controlling meal timing and frequency. When you space out your meals and avoid constant snacking, you allow insulin levels to rise and fall in a natural rhythm. Over time, this improves insulin sensitivity, meaning your body becomes more efficient at using insulin when it's needed and better at lowering it when it's not. This balance is crucial for maintaining a healthy metabolism. The types of food you eat also play a role. Highly processed carbohydrates and sugary foods cause rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin, while whole foods rich in fiber, protein, and healthy fats lead to a slower, more controlled insulin response. By choosing foods that stabilize blood sugar, you reduce the overall insulin load on your body, making it easier to maintain a fat burning state. As insulin becomes better regulated, the body begins to regain its metabolic flexibility. This means it can smoothly transition between using glucose and fat for energy depending on availability. When this flexibility is restored, fat loss becomes more sustainable and less dependent on extreme dieting. Instead of constantly fighting your body, you are working with its natural hormonal signals. Another important benefit of controlling insulin is the reduction of inflammation. Chronic high insulin levels are associated with increased inflammatory markers, which can contribute to a wide range of health issues beyond weight gain. By keeping insulin in check, you not only support fat loss, but also improve overall health and reduce the risk of long term diseases. Understanding insulin as a switch simplifies the complex process of metabolism. When insulin is high, the switch is set to store energy. When insulin is low, the switch flips to burn energy. The goal is not to eliminate insulin, it's to manage it in a way that allows both states to occur at the right times. By doing so, you create an internal environment where fat storage is limited and fat burning is encouraged, making it easier to reduce harmful visceral fat and improve metabolic health over time. Time restricted eating is a powerful yet simple strategy that works by changing when you eat rather than drastically changing what you eat. At its core, it involves limiting your daily food intake to a specific window of time, typically 8 to 10 hours, and allowing your body to fast for the remaining hours of the day. This approach aligns more closely with how the human body is naturally designed to function, creating a clear distinction between periods of feeding and periods of repair. When you eat throughout the entire day, especially with frequent snacks, your body remains in a constant state of digestion and energy storage. Insulin levels stay elevated, and your metabolism becomes focused on processing incoming calories rather than using stored energy. This continuous feeding pattern prevents your body from accessing fat reserves, particularly visceral fat, which is stored deep within the abdominal cavity around your organs. As long as food is regularly entering the system, there is little reason for the body to switch into fat burning mode. Time restricted eating interrupts this cycle. Once your eating window closes and you enter a fasting state, your body begins to undergo a series of metabolic changes. After several hours without food, insulin levels start to drop, signaling that there is no longer an immediate supply of energy from food. This is a critical turning point. With lower insulin levels, the body is no longer in storage mode, and begins to shift toward using stored energy to meet its needs. As the fasting period continues, your body starts to break down stored fat through a process known as lipolysis. This is where fat cells release fatty acids, which are then used as fuel. Visceral fat, in particular, becomes more vulnerable during this state because it is metabolically active and more readily broken down compared to subcutaneous fat. In simple terms, when you stop constantly feeding your body, you force it to tap into the fat it has been storing, especially the harmful fat that surrounds your organs. Another important aspect of time restricted eating is that it helps restore metabolic flexibility. Many people today have bodies that are heavily reliant on a constant supply of glucose from food. This makes it difficult to switch to fat burning even when calorie intake is reduced. By incorporating regular fasting periods, your body relearns how to efficiently transition between using glucose and fat as energy sources. Over time, this improves your ability to burn fat more effectively, even during non fasting periods. Time restricted eating also influences hormonal balance in a way that supports fat loss. In addition to lowering insulin, fasting periods can increase levels of hormones that promote fat breakdown. This creates an internal environment where stored fat is more easily accessed and utilized. The longer and more consistent the fasting window, the more opportunities your body has to engage in these fat burning processes. What makes this approach particularly effective is its simplicity and sustainability. Unlike extreme diets that require constant calorie counting or food restriction, time restricted eating focuses on structure and timing. Many people find it easier to follow because it reduces the need for frequent decision making about food. Once the eating window is established, it becomes a routine that naturally limits overeating and supports better metabolic health. It's important to note that the quality of food still matters. While time restricted eating can help shift your body into fat burning mode, combining it with nutrient dense, whole foods enhances the results. This ensures that your body receives the vitamins, minerals, and macronutrients it needs to function optimally during both feeding and fasting periods. As this pattern becomes consistent, the body adapts by becoming more efficient at using stored fat for energy. Visceral fat, which depends on a steady influx of calories, begins to shrink as it is repeatedly called upon to fuel the body during fasting periods. Over time, this leads to a reduction in abdominal fat, improved metabolic health, and a lower risk of chronic disease. By simply adjusting the timing of your meals, you create a powerful shift in how your body manages energy. Instead of constantly storing, it begins to burn. And in that shift, the hidden dangerous fat that once thrived is gradually reduced, making time restricted eating one of the most effective strategies for targeting visceral fat. When you enter a fasting state, your body doesn't simply pause, it shifts into a completely different mode of operation, one that is focused on survival, efficiency, and repair. This is where some of the most powerful internal processes begin, especially fat burning and cellular cleanup mechanisms like autophagy. These systems are not activated when you are constantly eating. They require a break from food to fully turn on. In a fed state, your body's priority is to digest, absorb, and store nutrients. Insulin levels are elevated, and energy from food is readily available, so there is no need to tap into stored fat. However, once you stop eating and several hours pass, your body begins to sense a lack of incoming energy. This triggers a metabolic switch. Insulin levels fall, and your body starts looking for alternative fuel sources. That's when fat burning begins to accelerate. One of the first processes activated is lipolysis, where stored fat is broken down into fatty acids and released into the bloodstream to be used as energy. This includes visceral fat, the dangerous fat stored around your organs. Because visceral fat is more metabolically active, it is often more responsive to this shift, meaning it can be broken down more readily when your body needs fuel. As fasting continues, your body becomes increasingly efficient at using these fat stores, reducing overall fat mass over time. But fat burning is only part of the story. Fasting also activates autophagy, a process that can be thought of as your body's internal recycling and repair system. The word autophagy literally means self eating, but in this context, it refers to the breakdown and removal of damaged or dysfunctional components within your cells. This includes misfolded proteins, broken cellular structures, and even harmful debris that can accumulate over time. Autophagy is essential for maintaining cellular health. When cells are cluttered with damaged parts, they don't function properly, which can contribute to aging and disease. By clearing out this cellular waste, autophagy helps your cells operate more efficiently and can even support the regeneration of healthier components. This is one of the reasons fasting is associated not only with fat loss, but also with improved overall health and longevity. What makes autophagy particularly interesting is that it is suppressed when you are eating frequently. The presence of nutrients, especially protein and carbohydrates, signals to your body that it does not need to enter this cleanup mode. It's only when nutrient levels drop during fasting that autophagy is upregulated. This means that by simply allowing your body time without food, you are giving it the opportunity to repair itself at a deep cellular level. These two processes, fat burning and autophagy, work together to create a powerful internal reset. As fat is broken down for energy, including harmful visceral fat, your cells are simultaneously being cleaned and renewed. This dual effect is what makes fasting such a unique and effective strategy. It's not just about reducing body fat, it's about improving the quality of your cells and the efficiency of your metabolism. Over time, regularly activating these processes can lead to noticeable improvements. People often experience reduced abdominal fat, better energy levels, and improved metabolic markers such as blood sugar control. This is because the body is no longer overwhelmed by constant nutrient intake and can focus on maintaining balance and repair. It's important to approach fasting in a sustainable and consistent way. You don't need extreme or prolonged fasts to benefit from these processes. Even moderate fasting windows practiced regularly can activate fat burning and support autophagy. The key is giving your body enough time in a fasted state to allow these systems to engage. Ultimately, fasting taps into ancient biological mechanisms that were essential for human survival long before modern eating patterns emerged. By reintroducing periods of fasting into your routine, you are not depriving your body, you are enabling it to do what it was designed to do. And in that state, both fat burning and cellular repair processes work together to reduce harmful visceral fat and support long term health from the inside out. Consistency in meal timing may seem like a small, almost insignificant change, but it has a profound impact on how your body manages energy, stores fat, and maintains overall metabolic health. The human body thrives on rhythm. Just like your sleep cycle follows a natural pattern, your metabolism also responds best when there is a predictable structure to when you eat and when you don't. When this rhythm is disrupted by irregular eating patterns, late night meals, constant snacking, or unpredictable meal times, it creates confusion in your body's internal systems, making it easier for fat, especially visceral fat, to accumulate. Visceral fat is particularly sensitive to hormonal signals, and those signals are heavily influenced by your eating patterns. When you eat at inconsistent times, your insulin levels rise and fall unpredictably. This makes it harder for your body to regulate blood sugar efficiently and keeps it in a semi constant state of energy storage. Over time, this environment encourages the buildup of fat around your organs, increasing the risk of metabolic diseases. On the other hand, when you establish consistent meal timing, your body begins to anticipate when food is coming, allowing hormones like insulin to function more effectively and return to baseline levels when needed. One of the most powerful effects of consistent meal timing is that it naturally creates periods of fasting without requiring extreme dieting. When you eat within a regular window each day, your body gets a predictable break from food. During this break, insulin levels drop and your body shifts into fat burning mode. This is when stored fat, including visceral fat, is used as energy. The more consistently you maintain this pattern, the more efficiently your body becomes at switching between burning food and burning fat. Unlike restrictive diets that focus heavily on cutting calories or eliminating entire food groups, consistent meal timing works with your body rather than against it. It doesn't require you to constantly think about what you can or cannot eat. Instead, It simplifies your routine. By eating at roughly the same times each day and avoiding unnecessary snacking, you reduce the overall number of insulin spikes your body experiences. This alone can have a significant impact on reducing fat storage over time. Another key benefit is improved metabolic flexibility. This refers to your body's ability to switch between using carbohydrates and fat as fuel. When your eating pattern is erratic, your body becomes more dependent on a constant supply of glucose, making it less efficient at burning fat. However, when your meals are consistent and spaced out properly, your body relearns how to access stored fat when needed. This not only helps reduce visceral fat, but also leads to more stable energy levels throughout the day. Consistency also plays a role in aligning your metabolism with your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. Your body is naturally more efficient at processing food during daylight hours and less efficient late at night. When you consistently eat earlier in the day and avoid late night meals, you support your body's natural rhythm, which can further improve digestion, hormone balance, and fat metabolism. Over time, this alignment helps reduce the likelihood of excess fat being stored, particularly in the abdominal area. What makes this approach sustainable is that it removes the pressure of perfection. You don't need to follow extreme rules or make drastic changes overnight. Instead, small, consistent habits, like eating breakfast at a similar time each day, having your last meal earlier in the evening, and avoiding random snacking, gradually reshape your metabolism. These habits are easier to maintain long term, which is crucial because lasting fat loss, especially the reduction of visceral fat, depends on consistency rather than short term effort. As your body adapts to this structured pattern, the results begin to compound. Insulin sensitivity improves, fat burning processes become more efficient, and the internal environment that once supported visceral fat starts to shift. Without the constant influx of calories and irregular signals, visceral fat loses the conditions it needs to thrive. It is gradually broken down and used as energy, leading to a healthier body composition and reduced risk of disease. In the end, consistent meal timing proves that you don't need extreme measures to create meaningful change. By simply giving your body a reliable rhythm, you allow it to function the way it was designed to. And when your body is in sync, it naturally moves away from storing harmful fat and toward maintaining balance, efficiency, and long term health.